In the shadows of society, where secrets linger and truth is buried, stories of betrayal, murder, and mysteries unfold. Welcome to Occupation Murderer, where we dive into the darkest corners of the human mind, one chilling tale at a time.
Power, control, and a twisted version of faith. Warren Jeffs ruled with fear, breaking families and silencing dissent. But how did he rise to power, and what led to his downfall? In this episode, we uncover the shocking truth behind the FLDS and its notorious leader. I'm Mary.
And I'm Nevaeh. Come with us while we investigate this case.
Okay, so Warren Jeffs' father, Rulon Jeffs, was the prophet of the FLDS for 15 years. And if you don't know what FLDS stands for, it's the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He passed in September of 2002 at 92 years old, leaving 75 widows and 65 children to mourn him. After he had passed, 49-year-old Warren Jeffs took over as a prophet. The members of the group believed God spoke through the prophet. He was the mouthpiece on earth. Men believed that they had to have at least 3 wives, and the more wives that he had, the closer he was to salvation.
Jeff slowly became more strict. He banned TV, popular music, and fictional books. He kept strict rules on behavior, dress, and language. Women were not allowed to have any other emotion except for sweetness. They were told to keep sweet, obey their husbands, and above all, obey him. The prophet has the power to punish his followers by reassigning their wives, children, and homes to another man. If you pleased the prophet, it resulted in loyal members rewarded with 1 or more wives. Wives were considered to belong to their husbands for eternity.
They actually made a movie over how Warren Jeffs told him to keep sweet, and how the women were not allowed to have any other emotion. They couldn't get mad, they couldn't be sad, they were just only allowed to have sweetness as an emotion. Warren Jeffs himself had many wives. While the exact number is not certain, the estimated amount is 78. Some even were young teens, but underage marriages were common in the border community. Jeffs officiated a lot of marriages between underage girls and adult men, and some examples were Alyssa Wall. She was 14 years old when she was forced to marry her 19-year-old first cousin, which that's pretty bad. That's not even like a distant cousin. That's very close in the bloodline. And Ruth Stubbs was 16 years old when she was married off to her husband Rodney Holm, which was 32. Holm was actually a police officer in Short Creek and was already married to 2 other women. Rodney served 1 year in prison for bigamy and illegal sex with Ruth since she was only 16 years old. And whenever I heard that he was a police officer, that's kind of scary because it's a police officer. You're supposed to trust police officers, not think that they're going to have illegal sex with underage girls.
And like, being a police officer, I feel like he should know that what he did was wrong.
Yeah.
Over time, Jeff's involvement in the marriages led him to being placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list in May 2006. Jeff had eventually fled and went on the run, hiding out in various cities across the United States. He had a compound built in El Dorado, Texas, where he would send hand-picked followers telling them they had been called to Zion or heaven on earth. In August 2006, Jeff was in the passenger seat of a late model SUV that was pulled over by a Nevada Department of Public Safety trooper. For not displaying a valid license plate, the trooper that had stopped the car had recognized Jeff from wanted posters, and he was arrested without incident. Once he was in jail, FLDS members testified against him. ABC News sat down with Jeff's daughter, Rachel Jeffs, who claimed her father sexually abused her for years during childhood. She said, "When your parents does something like that, it feels shameful on you too," and then it kept happening. The sexual abuse began when she was 8 years old behind the locked doors of her father's office. He was served a life sentence plus 20 years in 2011 for aggravated sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl and a 15-year-old girl who Jeff claims was his spiritual wives.
So Rachel's brother, he also said that he was sexually assaulted by Jeff's. So that was pretty messed up. They were known for their polygamy, though. So that's all for today's episode.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. We hope the chilling tale you've heard leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.
Until next time, stay safe.